Tom, do me a favor, will you? The radio?
Just because the music's over and you might risk hearing something useful? I thought that's why we had the radio.
Well, I need to rest, as you know. Mock me if you like.
Tom's father had been a doctor and now received a modest pension, so it was no great disaster for Tom to drift about not doing anything in particular. Tom was a writer, at any rate by his own lights. Oh, his output as committed to paper was so far limited to the words great and small, followed by a question mark, but nevertheless meticulously archived in one of his many bureau drawers.
Hi, Dad.
Evening, Master Tom.
Evening, Master Olivia. You don't forget about the meeting tomorrow.
No.
In order to postpone the time at which he would have to put pen to paper in earnest, Tom had now come up with a series of meetings on moral rearmament with which he felt obliged to benefit the town.
I imagine that'll do, Ma Ginger. I don't think it's good for the soil with all that raking and hoeing. It's the soil that gave life to us all.
Don't give me any of your lip, Thomas Edison, Jr. I'll hoe as I darn well please.
Yeah, and spoil the whole thing. I agree with Tom.
Yeah, but he likes eating my pies, don't you?
Well, they're tasty, no doubt about it.
Yeah. So when it comes to hoeing, who's right, Tom, you or me?
I'm not so sure it's that simple.
He's got you there, Ginger.
You cannot resist, can you, Gloria?
Hey, babe, I'll get the doors. I'll be fine, Tom. Is there any news from the freight industry? Is everything going to hell there, too?
Don't poke fun at the freight industry.
It was 7 o'clock precisely as Martha chimed the hour, and Tom was due to play checkers with his childhood friend Bill Henson. Bill was dumb and knew it. Far too dumb to qualify as an engineer, he was certainly sure of that. After listening for a while to the pile driver down the valley that Ben insisted was working on the foundation of a new penitentiary, Tom headed for the Henson home in order to inflict upon Bill yet another humiliating defeat at checkers. Some folks might say the opportunity to meet Bill's older sister Liz was more of a draw than the checkerboard, and they might be right. Tom sat down on the old lady's bench to think, to hang on to the feeling of danger for a moment. But it wasn't long before his thoughts were back on his favorite subjects again. And in the midst of the storm they metamorphosed into articles and novels and great gatherings that had listened in silence to Tom after the publication of yet another volume that scourged and purged the human soul. And he saw men, and among them even other writers, throw their arms round one another as through his words life had opened up for them anew. It hadn't been easy, but by his diligence and application to narrative and drama, his message had gotten through. And asked about his technique, he would have to say but one word: illustration.
Lady, I wouldn't go up there if I were you. I know the mountain well. Doubt if I'd get away with my life. It's a very nasty drop.
Is there another way?
Yeah.
Where?
Back down the way you came from. Back down to Georgetown. Why do you need to get up the mountain? Did it have anything to do with those gunshots?
Help me. Help me,
Right,
please.
here, hide in mine. In there.
Hey, where's this road headed to?
Nowhere. It's a dead end. If you want the pass, you'll have to turn around, go back by way of Georgetown. This place, it's called Dogville.
Dogville?
Yeah.
Well, figures. Stupid name if I ever heard one. Hey, we're looking for somebody.
Oh, really? Who might that be?
The boss wants to talk to you.
Young man,
Yes, sir.
I'm looking for a girl. She may have made her way to your town in her confusion. I don't want any harm to come to her. You see, she's very precious to me.
Well, sir, nobody's been through Dogville. You see, Moses would have barked. He's very suspicious of strangers.
Well, that's very wise, Moses. Please take my card, and if perhaps you see a stranger, then give me a call. I am in a position to offer a considerable reward.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Say, was it you that fired those shots?
I'm sure that you wish us well, Tom. But of any town, I believe this one has a very fine sense of community. Living side by side, we all know one another. I'm a pretty fair judge of character myself.
Honestly, Tom, you've done it again. Made us come here to listen to a lot of nonsense. What do you think you are, some kind of philosopher?
Observant, that's what I am.
Lazy, I would say. We shovel snow together.
You shovel snow together?
Yeah.
Every household clears their own front walk.
I gotta allow that Tom's right on that. The roads don't get cleared properly.
I'm sorry, Tom, you're going to have to come up with something better than that.
The whole country would be better served with a greater attitude of openness and acceptance.
You're not suggesting that we all wouldn't help out if somebody needed help.
No, that's
We
not
would.
the point. That's not the point.
Care for human beings up here.
We'd probably never find out. Since nobody seems to want to admit that there's a problem, let me illustrate. Now, I'm not going to use something that's already happened. I'm going to use something that's just about to happen.
And after providing a quick summary of the events of the previous evening to the astonished people of Dogville, Tom went down to the mine to retrieve the fugitive from her hideaway.
Allow me to introduce Grace. Grace, these are the citizens of Dogville.
Hello.
Hello.
Tom has told us about your predicament, miss.
I really don't want to put any of you in jeopardy.
Why don't you just go to the police? They can take care of gangsters. It's their job.
I don't know that that's such a good idea. In the transportation business...
Ben.
These men, they have powerful connections. Even with the police.
You think we should give sanctuary to a fugitive? A fugitive that gangsters want to get a hold of? Well, that would put us in a pretty pickle.
Easy, Claire. Think of your asthma.
Well, Dogville is a good place to hide, that's for certain.
Exactly. The only way up here is Canyon Road. That could easily be watched by Ma Ginger's, nosy cousin who lives only yards from the turnoff. She has a telephone, Martha. You could ring the bell, tell the town if people were coming.
But, Tom, I chime the hours. Well, what if people get confused with all the ringing?
Come now, Martha. Surely we can use our old bell to save a life, if need be.
Why should we?
Because we care, Chuck. We
That ain't
care
what
for
I-
human beings.
That ain't what I mean. How do we know this woman is telling us the truth? Well, maybe these gangsters did shoot at her. That don't make her somebody to be trusted.
He's right. Why would you trust me?
I trust you.
Tom, we're not gangsters. We mind our own business. We don't ask nothing from nobody.
See, at last you admit it.
If only there was some way that we wouldn't doubt the young lady's word, some way to know her, then I think we'd all ignore the risk.
Well, there is a way. You said it yourself. By living side by side with her. Dad, you're such a fine judge of character. How long would it take a man like you to unmask her? A week? Maybe 2? Surely we can offer her 2 weeks. And if after that time so much as one man cries out, "Be gone," I promise, I'll happily send her packing myself.
Well, if Master Tom thinks this is right for us and for the community, then that'll do for me. Might be young, but his heart is right, and I've known his heart for as long as it's been beating.
I just rejected everybody I've ever known in your favor. Wouldn't it be worth compromising just one of your ideals, just a little, to ease my pain? Everybody in this town's had your body but me. We're the ones supposed to be in love.
My darling Tom. You can have me if you want me. Just do what the others do. Threaten me. Tell me that you'll turn me into the law, to the gangsters, and I promise you, you can take whatever it is you want from me. I trust you. But maybe you don't trust yourself. Perhaps you've been tempted. You've been tempted to join the others and force me. Perhaps that's why you're so upset.
All I've ever tried to do is help you.
I'm just asking if you're afraid you could be so human.
No, I'm not afraid of that. Not in the least.
Good. Let tomorrow bring what it's gonna bring. It's not a crime to doubt yourself, Tom. But it's wonderful that you don't.
All a load of nonsense. If anybody was capable of keeping track of ideals and reality, he was. After all, it was his job. Moral issues were his home ground. To think that he might doubt his own purity was really to think very little of him. Tom was angry. And in the midst of it all, he discovered why. It was not because he'd been wrongly accused, but because the charges were true. His anger consisted of a most unpleasant feeling of being found out. It was all quite a blow to the young philosopher. And, realistically enough, he thought that if the doubt was already present, it could grow. Perhaps so great that one day it would prove detrimental to his entire moral mission. Tom stopped. He almost began to shake when the threat to his career as a writer dawned upon him. It didn't take him long to agree with himself that the risk was too great to run. The danger Grace was to the town, she was also to him. Tom did not like it, and he was man enough to take action to prevent it. Fortunately, Tom was as conscientious as regards his future profession as he was practical. He allowed sincerity and ideals plenty of room in his life without getting sentimental about it, as he would put it. Throwing away a document that might be of significance to Tom, and with him future generations of readers, as the basis of a novel, or indeed a trilogy, was not an act he was so stupid to commit, although he had to admit that in a moment of weakness he might have said he would. Before returning to the meeting that night, Tom opened the little drawer he had opened the night of Grace's arrival and found it still there. The card from the gangster in the car.
Yeah. The damn kid won't shut up. Says he wants to talk to you, miss. Can we just shoot him now?
Let me talk to him. What? What is it?
A man can't really be blamed for being scared now, can he?
No.
No. I'm scared, Grace. I used you, and I am sorry. I'm stupid. I am. I'm maybe even arrogant sometimes.
You are, Tom.
Although using people is not very charming, I think you have to agree that this specific illustration has surpassed all expectations. It says so much about being human. It's been painful, but I think you also have to agree it's been edifying, wouldn't you say?
Not now, Tom. Not now.
Bingo, Grace. Bingo. I have to tell you, your illustration had beat the hell out of mine. It's frightening, yes, but so clear. Do you think I can allow myself to use it as an inspiration in my writing?
Goodbye,